Jeez.
There's a quorum, so. Call to order the Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024 Trades Licensing Board. Take the roll. Mr. Armstrong.
Here.
Mr. Bretz.
Here.
Mr. Collins.
Here.
Mr. Dietrich.
Here.
Mr. Hollern. Mr. Newber.
Here.
Mr. Panitsky.
Here.
Mr. Reeves.
Here.
Mr. Schaaf. Mr. Sessler. Mr. Yetzko.
Here.
Mr. Ziwi. Okay, roll has been taken. You were all notified electronically of the previous meeting minutes. If there's no objection, I'll take a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Panitsky,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Bretz. Is there any question on the motion? Any question on the motion? Being that there's none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes. We're now at the public comment section of the meeting. Is there any public comment? Any public comment? Being that there's none, public comment is closed. Secretary report, there is no secretary report for this month's meeting. Correspondence, the letter is up there on the screen. Mr. Jason Loader, Physical Plant Operations Manager at Gannon University, submitted a letter of intent regarding an employee who is working in the electrical field. He is requesting for the employee to be able to obtain his apprentice license under a company who is contracted with Gannon University. Letter of intent has been forwarded to the board. That letter is up above on the screen for any of you that didn't get an opportunity to review that letter. I think we'll just move that into applications. The application section, we'll discuss it there. So I'll just continue down with the old business. Old business. Letters were mailed out August 7th to the following applicants, informing them of their applications being approved. Mitchell Lobaugh, reinstated. David Dyes, reinstated. Justin Kuznicki, Tim Stasowitz. Letters were mailed out August 7th, 2024 to the following applicants, informing them that their applications have been denied. Joshua Ortiz, Michael Minninger, Edward Reed. The board tabled Jonathan McLeod's electrical journeyman application due to Mr. McLeod being a few months away from eligibility to test. He was short just like a few months, so his application is tabled. Okay, under new business. Review and approve an electrical application. Kyle Heine, he wants a one-time license pending him getting a project in the city. So that packet of his information, does everyone have a copy?
Yes. Was Ullinger Plumbing granted a one-time license recently?
I'm not aware of that.
I thought they had proposed a
Wasn't there
one-time license.
somebody,
That was a few months back.
Was it a few months ago?
I think they were granted a one-time license for 90 days or something, or 30, remember? Somebody passed away, didn't they?
Not
Or-
at Ollinger?
That's right.
It wasn't Ollinger.
That was an electrical contractor that,
Oh,
Or Mill? I don't remember.
What is this job? Where is it at?
this,
I believe it has something to do with Good Homes.
the address, Yeah, it's the Renaissance one.
So in the project information, he's got that it's a $8,300 job that's gonna take 5 years.
Really?
$8,300.
I think he's gonna do a model room. From the looks of it, it looks like he's doing a model room. And then depending on
Renaissance Center, which one?
if they like that model
On
room,
the 10th?
that they're going to, once model room scope has been reviewed by the hotel ownership and approved, then the rest would be awarded to them or not. That's what I'm guessing. That's what it looks like.
So that's pending on the owner being satisfied with the work.
With the mock-up or model room. So it could be months or a year or even after that model room is complete, it sounds like that they move forward with the remainder of the work.
Just for clarification, if this individual were given a one-time license, that would be project-specific. The only project he could work on or man would be that particular project, none other.
Correct.
That is
The
correct.
model room and the job. If he wins the bid.
And we've already stated that he's from Texas, has a Texas license, but we have no reciprocity with anywhere in Texas.
Correct.
Christie, did we verify that his license is current with the state of Texas?
I can do so.
That would be great.
I also verified with the electrical inspector, as long as this model room is taken completely apart after it's completed, he will not have to obtain a license, but he wants to get ahead of it, as long as he has the license, it is the approval, if he wins the bid, he wants to go ahead and get his one-time license.
Okay, so let me see if I understand this right. The chief electrical inspector is allowing him to do this model room?
No, that was just the information he gave me. As long as, if the model room will stay as is, he will have to get his one-time license approved prior to doing the model room. If the model room is going to be taken apart after, then he will not need the license because the room will not be used as is.
But we don't know whether or not it'll be taken apart.
He's finding that information out, but he wants to make sure he's approved so he can go forward if they want to give him information.
Well, wouldn't it stand to reason that we'd need to know that? Because if he's making a model room and it's taken apart after the fact, he doesn't need it.
Right.
But he'll need it for a project if he wins the bid. So
Understood.
He's trying to get ahead of it.
So the model room consists of, what is this, like a apartment or a commercial?
It's gonna be, it's the Renaissance building, they're converting it into a hotel rooms.
Okay, like how many
And they
floors?
give them- He said they give them one room, like it's not a big room, and they just tell them what they want. Where they want receptacles, where they want lighting.
So he doesn't actually have like a scope of work for this yet? Okay,
Just a brief description there.
Yeah.
Fixtures and devices.
Sounds like a paint job. You know, they're gonna take the fixtures off, paint the room and put the new fixtures back on. Because they're not gonna pull any new wire or nothing.
he's still need to be
I
licensed.
think that they're planning on like a whole new renovation of the building.
I-
Like gutting it, like they're talking about gutting the place,
So,
from what I had heard. I mean,
That was
I don't
my
know, I could be-
understanding.
I mean, they're gonna have to get prints approved before anything even happens, right? I mean, prints have to be approved and then they really know what they're gonna do.
This is just to see what type of work he does. And
Whether or not they're gonna hire him.
It's done a lot, I think, it's done a lot.
I don't understand this so far.
I think they're giving him a test run, right? Like one apartment, you did good work, you did crap work, see you later. It's kind of what I'm thinking, whether they're happy with this guy or not, that makes the decision on whether he needs that permit, but
Well, I guess I'll say my interpretation is that
it's my interpretation.
this is part of the design, this model room. This is what I'm interpreting is they're coming in and just, instead of putting it on paper and getting these plans approved, they're saying, well, I think I want an outlet here, I think I want a light fixture there, I think I want the light switch there. And he's gonna put it in so these architects can see it.
Yep.
And then they're gonna approve it, and then that's why he would need the license if it remains, and would not need the license then if it comes out, because, you know, they're not connecting power or anything if it all comes out.
Find it hard to believe that they're gonna take.
That is a strange way to design it, though. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's the most efficient way, just.
And, or they could be trying to get investors involved, like, hey, this is what we wanna do, you know, things like that.
Did Mr. Heine indicate when the model room was supposed to be done?
He wasn't sure. When he contacted me, he wasn't sure, but he was gonna get back in touch with me to find out as far as if they were gonna tear them apart and.
Rewired or whatever.
He said it's probably not gonna be soon, right?
So if he gets granted a one-time license for this one room, and he gets this whole big other project, what's the process for the next one-time license?
That's gonna cover the model room and the project. If he wins the bid, it'll cover it.
Since technically it's the same
It's the
address.
same job.
Okay, yeah, yep.
It's technically the same.
And they're
permit.
valid for
Same
12,
service.
and the permit's valid for what, 12 months?
5 years,
Oh, 5 years?
that's what he's asking for.
What
If-
are they
if-
actually valid for,
If this
Christie?
goes and they like this room, that temporary license or would continue on with the rest of the project.
Yeah, I think it's open-ended I don't think it's 1 or 5, it's not a time frame. It's a project.
I mean, it could go 10 years. You know, who knows? But he's good for 5 years on a one-time license?
No, that's what,
The end of the project.
End of the project.
Oh, end of the project. Is there,
I think he's extrapolating that it could take up to 5 years, but
Okay.
he's covering himself.
Yeah.
Make sure that he doesn't
Right.
expire before the completion of the job.
the back page of the application states that it's an approximate completion date of December of 2029. That's
Okay.
where I came up with the 5.
oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
I mean, we could
I have
just,
to do that for the close stuff. I can see that.
He still would have to obtain a permit and proof of liability and all that stuff,
Yes.
right, Christie? Yeah.
I don't know, I'm a more principled person on this. We've got verbiage in our code that says, without reciprocity, we don't give reciprocity, we don't give licensing.
But we do one-time permits. It's right in the book.
You can do
A
that.
one-time license.
one time.
I say that voids the intent of that book,
I don't disagree with you.
but I'm a stickler. And it wouldn't be the first time I'm the only nay.
I honestly think that this application should say one-time permit,
Yeah, I agree.
not one-time license. That's my personal feelings about it. It should say one-time permit.
Has anybody else applied for a permit for this job?
Where did I just read this?
I have received phone calls.
Application.
I'm gonna bid on it, but I don't have anything back. I heard from the HVAC guy, and I heard from two HVAC guys about this job,
From out of town?
yes.
Okay. I guess what I was asking is if there's any local contractors that have put in, because it sounds like they're like doing the one room, so I'm suspecting that they're gonna get multiple contractors to try to do different rooms this is so weird.
Does he have to hire local labor with
Well,
licenses?
they all have to be registered under that one-time license in our page 17 of our book, that every journeyman or apprentice must pay their fees set forth in this ordinance.
I was gonna bring up that exact point. This does not give his labor force carte blanche to come to town and do what they wanna do. They still, all of his employees are gonna have to be apprentice, journeyman, licensed with the city,
Yeah,
and they don't get one time for that. He's gonna have to hire from, correct me if I'm wrong.
Journeymen
he's gonna
and
have to
apprentices.
hire from local labor pools to do that.
No, it'll be his people.
so how does
So
that,
this is gonna go from a one-time license for an individual to do a test kitchen to the entirety of the project and its entire labor force?
Which could be 20 people.
which states in the one-time license, journeymen and apprentices must pay their fees as set forth in this ordinance, and to become a journeyman or apprentice, you have to follow the regulations in the book.
Well, they'd have to, doing that for, say, a gentleman comes up to Erie and is gonna work underneath that
Uh-huh.
temporary master license, I would think that the journeyman would have to apply for a journeyman's license, but he'd have to show proof that he holds a journeyman license in some other jurisdiction.
But it would be temporary.
Again, it would be temporary.
All of them would be
So
temporary.
all of them would even have to apply for a journeyman or an apprentice, correct?
And the apprentice would
And
have,
pay
well,
the-
an apprentice
and pay the
would
dues.
apply.
Pay the fees. That's correct.
Yeah. So theoretically, if this is issued, I mean, any people that come forward, they'd have to apply, right? Yeah, go ahead. Come on.
What's the record of doing this in the past? The record of doing something like this in the past?
I think there's only been two since I've been in this position. There's, Oliver for the new build, and then.
Olinger did get one, didn't he?
Yes, it was a new build, for a house.
For a house. So that's a 120-day contract or something, yeah.
And I think there's
This is also commercial too, so this comes in, blueprints and BUI, BIU.
Right. It was a residential home.
Right. That could be roughed in one day, literally, done, in and out.
If you do it, it's more than
This
one.
building's
Get
gonna
outta
be
here.
utilized.
I've done a Habitat for Humanity house by myself in one day.
Oh, boy.
Renaissance building will be used as what now?
Let's throw.
Didn't we recently approve the guy coming from Detroit to do the Avalon? We
That was
him, right?
approved? One-time permit?
Yeah.
What was it?
There's nothing
Was it
even,
electric?
my point is, there's nothing even saying he's gonna be awarded the job.
Right,
I agree.
totally.
I think he's just looking for, seeing if he can do it, in other words.
Yeah, he may wanna know if he can even get this before he's wasted time bidding it.
Right.
What did we do with the Avalon one? Was that an electrical?
It was electrical.
Okay, and he was looking for a one-time kind of a renovation.
And I think we made it clear on those that it's one time, and that's it.
Yeah.
If I remember right. Am I mistaken?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
With that electrical, we told them it's one time and that's it.
I think we did. It was really up to us.
Doing something new.
He was from Detroit.
Yes, but he was also, a member of the union. He's a new member of the union.
I don't recall.
Which he would hire local people, in other words.
I think he did say that, didn't he?
Yes,
Okay.
I
He had a
believe.
son or something that was coming with him.
Right.
But all the employees were journeymen or apprentices, correct?
Is that right,
On
Jim?
that project, Christie?
Oh,
I just know he was a new member of the union.
Okay.
He had just, did everything like recent to trying to get his license with us.
did you say this was 12 rooms? Is that what you said?
For the Renaissance building?
Yes.
I didn't mention, he didn't.
Oh.
I don't know how many rooms.
It's 8,300.
So I propose we table it and pending approval. So he's gonna have to apply.
Yeah, I mean, the process would be he would get this one-time license, then all of his employees would have to go through the process,
Oh, 8,300.
correct?
Including-
Christie, to getting a journeyman or apprentice card?
Still ain't much.
They would have to get, I'm not sure how
That's
to
still
get
not
it
much.
in the ordinance,
There's nothing that's,
but they're gonna have to.
the one-time license is very vague. It really is, and it's up to us.
Well, I think that we don't have enough information.
Yeah,
Because if this model room is being taken apart and he doesn't need the license, then why would we
he
make a
might not.
decision?
He might be pulling covers off of outlets and painting and putting them back.
And we're making a decision before we even have the application in front of us. The official application, his official application.
Well, I think this is it right
Well-
here.
This is,
That's what this is?
In this particular case, yes,
Okay.
because he provided this form plus his credentials from Texas
Okay.
and his test score.
we need to verify that his license is current with the state of Texas.
There's a picture of it,
I know, okay, but is it current?
yes.
Okay,
It's, expires at the end of this year.
okay.
Would it be safe to assume that he is in with the general contractor? And maybe they go around and buy up properties at different
I think
locations?
they just do remodels, they just travel around, do remodels, that's so common. I know guys that, all they do is supercuts. They travel around the whole country.
Yep.
That's what.
I'm not sure how you could do something for 5 years temporarily.
I don't know how we can do it without him even having the job. Like, so we have 10 people that apply for this, for the same job, and we grant them, even though they didn't have, 9 of them didn't get the job, but we gave out 10 temporary.
Christie, is it, what is the one-time license application fee?
$600.
Okay. Non-refundable then, I'm assuming? Yeah.
What happens if partway through this project, he no longer maintains his credentialing, and he's just got
It's probably the contractor's fault.
a time, but he's got a permit, he's got a license to do work in Erie. And
With that,
He can only work on the
based
job.
upon him having credentials that are valid. I don't see how you can give a guy a temporary, one-time, 5-year or duration of project, unless he's licensed in the state or somewhere in Pennsylvania.
Well,
Now,
we
if he
could-
wants to sit and take the test and have a license,
Yeah,
He
in
could
5
do
years, he
that.
could become a journeyman electrician.
Well, in fairness, we could revoke his license at any time.
True. I mean, this ain't
Would
gonna
it
be,
would it be safer to give him a one-time license for the one room?
Then he couldn't apply for
he doesn't want that.
the one time
Oh.
Yeah.
if he came
It's kind of a
back.
catch-22.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's the same project, the model home will be covered, as well as if he wins the bid, the project.
On the rest of it.
I think also too, that, this is just me talking, when we're giving out a one-time license, we should have documentation of who's actually working on these jobs. You know, as in like, okay, hey, I got 2 electricians that are working for me, here's their names, here's their little state license or something, because how do we even know, like, this guy's just not bringing up just random people?
Well,
And
Sam
pulling
will have,
wires?
Sam will have to
That
inspect.
Sam will have to inspect it,
Right.
or agreed.
So Sam will know, I mean,
Yeah, but I'm just thinking too, in the ordinance, it says that everybody has to be an apprentice or a journeyman on the job too. And we should have documentation of that, you know,
Yeah.
that's code enforcement, obviously, not
they would
us.
have to provide code enforcement to prove that.
That's
Yeah.
something I can request from,
Yeah,
for everyone that's going to be working on the job, I can request copies of
I
their
mean,
Okay,
Texas license.
let's do that.
There's also the
Well, there's-
option of
there's
hiring
really not
a
necessarily-
or hiring local
They're
people.
gonna have to
local master
come through us,
electrician.
right? They're gonna have to get a local license to work on that job.
The apprentices will not.
The apprentices will just have to get a license from the city of Erie.
Right,
Temporarily.
because they're master of the company will already have a master, so the apprentices will not. Now, if the way the ordinance reads, if it doesn't require a journeyman to apply, then we can't request for them to apply.
But it does say everybody has to be a licensed apprentice or
So we
journeyman
can
with this
request a
license.
copy of their license,
Yeah,
then make sure they are a valid journeyman in the state that they're coming from. But we can't force them to apply and go on board if the ordinance doesn't read that way.
it does say journeyman and apprentices must pay their fees as set forth in the ordinance, under this one-time license.
They would pay the fee and then they'd have a temporary
They
license.
would have a one-time.
One-time,
Same.
that fall under this license.
Yes.
Okay.
I have another question.
Yes, sir.
So what happens if he likes this area, he doesn't get this job, but we approve this? He can't get another one-time license because it's a one-time thing.
Correct.
If he doesn't get this and we approve it, and he decides, okay, I want to work on this other job in area,
He's stuck.
he's stuck, right?
Yeah.
Well, like,
You won't be able to pull a permit, because the way I put the information in the system, the permit technicians won't be able to connect a license to the permit, so he won't be able to pull a permit.
but he still has the option to hire,
The only permit he'll be able to pull is for the Renaissance building.
if he wanted to bid more projects in the future, though, to Mr. Collins' point, he has the option to hire a licensed master electrician with the city of Erie.
Correct. Well, the question was asked about, is anyone that works for him licensed? So we can request that, yes?
Okay, yes.
Ask him for that, and then what was the other point? We don't know whether or not the model room will require a permit if it's being taken apart. So we need to know that as well. So I just say that we table it for this month and worry about it, once we receive that other information.
So you want to,
That's,
the employees, licensed employees, and about the model room.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know,
Yes.
with him, does he already have the job? Or
Probably
is he
not.
bidding something?
He's probably bidding it.
He said he bid it, according to the application.
Oh, he did?
he did bid it?
He did his job, and that's how we got the information of having to do the model room first.
So he must,
Yes.
if he bid it,
Renaissance. Yes.
well, if he bid the job, he would know whether or not he got the job, I would think.
They have to do a model room.
Oh, okay. It's pending on that.
He's gonna be doing electrical work. It says removing fixtures, right? And I'm assuming you need a license to do this stuff, right? Replace fixtures?
I guess the caution I have is, I understand they can just go in and remove the fixtures, put a coat of paint on, replace fixtures. But you're gonna be dealing with some electrical components that are older than I am.
But on a residential setting, correct, like, you need a master electrician, right, Christie? If
It's not a
you're
residential
replacing lights
building.
or, it's commercial, I mean. I mean,
It's-
if you're replacing
we all had-
fixtures, it's a permit, right? Electrical, I don't
Is that
know.
what we're talking about, Renaissance Center?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Isn't it one of the tallest buildings in town?
It is the tallest building in town.
Okay, so, and it was built in 18 what?
Prior to electricity.
No,
My point is,
I think in 1920.
you're gonna be tying into stuff that hasn't been touched in decades. They better know what they're doing, and, I just get an uneasy feeling about that.
Christie, you need a permit, right, to replace fixtures in that setting?
You will need a permit, but according to Sam, as long as the room is going to be demolished after, it's not gonna be used for anything, not gonna be occupied, he will not have to get a permit to do that.
But is he gonna fully demolish this room?
But if the room is going to be used after, he will have to have his license and have a permit for it.
Yeah, I
Prior
mean,
to starting it.
Is there a start date?
Yeah, he did have a start.
Can we ask for that? For the model room?
I think
Start
you're gonna
date
need
for
a
the model
license to
room.
do
And
this,
is
right?
he already contracted to do the entire thing? And the model room is just figuring out what each room is gonna look like?
Does anybody see the letter at the
It
end
may-
of the packet?
Is this all because
Hospitality
it's a model room
Innovations.
and nobody's gonna use it? Is that what Sam's saying?
It sounds like this Hospitality Innovations might have the job, and they're contracting HI Electric.
So he travels around with this Hospitality Innovations. That's exactly what this is.
Does anybody know what the Renaissance building actually looks like inside? Because it wasn't built as a hotel. It was offices, so it's not like, it's already set up with toilets in every area. It was a common toilets, I
Oh,
believe,
it's
in the hallway.
very old inside. It gives the appearance that,
So I don't understand. This isn't like they just got done with a hotel on the waterfront where they stripped wallpaper, put new wallpaper up, relocated a couple devices, receptacles. I think this is gonna be a full-blown renovation to add toilets and, you know, bathrooms and that for the different rooms, so I
mean,
don't know,
I believe.
they do have to have, you know, they'll have to have blueprints, they'll have to be approved by the, you know, BIU or whomever for occupancy purposes.
For the model room, is that what you're asking?
No, for the whole building
Yeah.
itself, I mean, that.
Yeah, because
but-
they're actually like right now, I think that building only has bathrooms on every other floor.
Oh, really?
Yes, I
Yes.
think Billy's right about that.
See,
So
that's where I'm going.
it's
with this.
like,
It's
they're
old.
gonna have to gut this place.
Yes.
It's gonna be
The
concrete
model room
floors.
isn't the issue for me. It's, you know.
It's gonna be a
the whole
massive
project.
project.
And they're gonna be throughout the entirety of that building,
They're kicking
cabling up
everybody
and
out.
down and plumbing.
It's
and-
not like,
Inspections on every floor.
yeah,
Christie.
they're not doing this,
Yeah.
they're gutting this place.
The $8,000 is a paint job in a room, and they're gonna look at colors, and they're gonna look at fixtures, and so they wouldn't be able to give them an occupancy permit for just the one room.
Yeah,
anyway.
that was, I was gonna say, Christie, this model room is, according to the electrical inspector, he doesn't need a permit, you're saying?
If it's gonna be model.
And maybe that's what he's saying, hey, this is a model room, no occupancy,
Perfect timing.
perfect timing, Samuel.
The man of the hour.
Perfect timing.
I was watching upstairs, I figured
Yeah,
We do need you, if you don't mind.
that's okay. What are the questions?
All of them.
Multiple.
Okay, so to answer what I heard up on my monitor, you do not need a permit to replace only the light fixture, as long as the wiring's already there. That applies to receptacles, other things like that. If they run any new wiring, then they have to have a permit, inspections, everything else. The thing I'd said about the mock room is if the building is unoccupied right now, and they're gonna mock up a room, they're not really, in my opinion, violating anything with the UCC if that never turns into construction. You know, if somebody ends up using the room or later on. The problem I had with it is I've seen many mock rooms that got built and then they turned out great, and then next thing you know, there's somebody in there. So I said it would have to be demolished if they did not get any inspections, did not have licensing, things like that. But if they wanted to try stuff out, see what it looks like, as long as nobody's sleeping there, I didn't have a problem with it.
Do we know if they have the bid now? Do we know any of that?
Do they have what?
Do they have the bid now?
I have no idea where they're at. I know that demo's taking place because I see it when I drive by. They're pulling out the doors and the beds and everything else. But
they have a
See,
demolition
you said
permit?
or wait a minute. Am I mixing up the buildings here? Were we talking about the Renaissance or the Avalon?
The Renaissance.
The Renaissance has not began yet. I'm aware. I'm thinking the Avalon.
But we're not sure if this company has the work.
I would not know anything about that.
Okay.
But think about this from an owner's perspective. You go ahead and give this guy an opportunity to do the
Just the mock room.
mock room. And they have 3 contractors do a mock room. Now you're gonna tell me that owner is gonna say, well, I paid good money for having these mock rooms, but now we're gonna just knock them down and not use them when we renovate the entirety of
You
the
won't,
space.
they won't give them an occupancy permit though, it's simple as that, and they can't live there.
Okay, so we can keep them from moving in with the occupancy, but I'm kind of leaning towards his opinion. I think that money talks, and I do not think they will demo out these rooms when they're done with them. I've never seen it happen yet with any hotel.
So based on that, my opinion is,
So we should
we're
make-
not talking about a one-time permit for a mock-up. We're talking about a one-time permit to do the entirety of the building, whatever that scope is. And we don't have drawings to say that's this floor or these floors or,
I mean, he says it right here that the once the mock-up room is approved, then I'll tell you what the cost of the rest of the work is. I mean, I get the impression he's doing the rest of the work, but he can't tell you how much that is until after he's done with the mock-up.
Well, the prints have to be done now, I would assume, and stamped, because we're even talking about this. So you could look at the drawing there to see, you know, where the work is, but I will tell you right now, there's going to be electrical there because the service is shot for the whole building. I know that for a fact. That's a large, I don't know, probably 1,200 amp piece a year that's going to be getting replaced, I would think. And then I would have to assume that some of these rooms don't meet ADA requirements. So that means that those walls will be getting opened up like we just saw at the Sheraton. I mean, they tried to put the least amount of money possible into those hotel rooms, you know, because there's so many of them. and they were still, you know, held to the fire for a lot of the codes, particularly ADA. So there's going to be electrical done there, absolutely, in these rooms, besides swapping out light fixtures and receptacles, in my opinion.
I just can't even imagine the amount of manpower that they're gonna need for this and to,
It's gonna be huge. That's an $8 million.
Well, I think that's why we need to,
I
they
think
need to
it's-
prove to us who has a license.
yeah.
So
Agreed.
that's, you know, I'm leaning to table it. That's my direction.
I do want to say, you said there's no violations in the code by doing this mock room.
As long as, well,
As long as it's
that's
not-
when I was thinking we were talking about the Avalon, because I didn't catch the first part of the talk, and they're kind of similar projects, but the Renaissance building is occupied. I
Yeah.
do not think that we should be taking any liability for letting somebody who's unlicensed go in there and do any kind of work, because if that building catches fire and one of the tenants in
Yeah.
a cat cafe or something is affected by it, that's a very different animal than an unoccupied building.
I agree with that.
In reality, this mock room can be made up without running one piece of wire.
It can, and it can also be made up off-site.
Yeah,
I mean, they do it all the time.
they don't even need a license to, if they're gonna demo, you said, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they can put outlets in a wall and say, there's your mock. You don't
Yep,
need to run a
that's
wire.
why I kind of was leaning towards, there's nothing that's violating the UCC as long as it's not used. Once you start using it, then it's different.
But you're saying it's an occupied building.
Yes, and that's where I would say, no way, because who knows what kind of training they have. And they may be the most highly qualified people in the world, I don't know, I haven't looked at anything.
I think even, you just said it, a mock room can be made up off-site,
Mhm.
100%,
Well,
anyway.
he's asking for a license to do the mock room, he's not trying to get around.
But he doesn't need
I
a
don't think
license.
he is.
I don't think he is
using
either.
Mock-up is a premise to get a license to do this job.
Yeah, because
That's my-
there's no benefit to it, because like the gentleman here said, he could be, you know, voiding his one-time permit by doing it this way.
Yeah.
So I think he's asking for the whole building, I don't think he's asking for a mock, I think he's trying to get his foot in the door.
Yeah, I mean, model room first, once the model room's done, then we'll do the rest.
I would be more,
Could there be a way to give 2 permits then to mitigate that? Could you,
Well,
could you have, could
do you
have one?
extend his one-time permit?
Well, I was wondering, is there a way to have 2, this is one project is the mock room, one project, one permit. Other project, entire remodel, new permit.
You only get a one-time permit if he's in
I kind of lean towards the idea, don't hook it up to power.
yeah, don't even run a wire.
town.
I mean, you could fur out a 2x4 wall in front of an existing wall,
Well, you'd have to.
use
Yeah.
it as the back support for
Yeah.
it, mock the whole thing up, and nobody would know a difference.
I mean, you could put a toilet and a sink in without plumbing too. Just screw it to the wall. Even a sprinkler head, you can just put it where you think it would go.
Hey.
Hey, hey, hey. Hey, you got one over here.
I thought that's what they already did, though.
So I think we're asking him for 2 things. One, we need more information on the scope of his work and more information on his crew members.
And
I would also think there should be, this maybe not approved prints and like, hey, we're bidding this job.
He says it right here that he doesn't know what it's gonna look like till after.
Nobody does because there's no approved prints
And
or,
also, like he said, there needs to be some kind of stipulation that he has to maintain his current licensing in Texas throughout the entirety of this project. Because that was your concern, right? That he could not keep his license in Texas and be working
I'd
there for
agree.
5
I
years.
think this,
Pending the decision, if we were to give him one, we would make that part of the stipulation.
Right.
So we don't need to ask him about it now. We just tell him at the time that you have to.
I look at, I just had this thought. If that building is indeed, they're gonna do, I don't know, a floor, and that's a contract, and that's a job for some tenant in that building. Then he moves to the next floor, and that's a job for another tenant. So now we're giving the guy the opportunity to piecemeal one of the largest buildings in this town through there's so many questions. I don't,
With multiple occupancies, I think that's important to add to that. I mean, it's multiple occupancies. so
There's a lot of occupancies in
we
there.
We could potentially have a new healthcare facility opening up in there that's part of this. And I mean, now that's gonna be a lot stricter when it comes to the electrical requirements. And Yeah, I think that there definitely needs to be some policing, or else it's gonna be a free-for-all.
My concern is, so he's asking for the permit for the mock room. We're gonna ask him for people that might be involved in the project. Say he sends us the names of 5 of his people. So I know when I worked at the Lord project, when that was, they moved up onto Robinson Road, that another contractor had brought people in from across the country that I would say were not qualified. And that would be my concern here. We get 5 names from him, but then it turns into the full-blown project, and he's bringing people in from, wherever that might not be qualified, whatever. I would have concerns about that because there was some dangers there, for sure.
Yeah, I'd be concerned it turns into a free-for-all. The reality is he can do the mock room without touching electric. And, you're right, he doesn't have to do.
You're right. He doesn't need a permit to do that.
As long as he doesn't add any building wiring. And
Right.
there's no
Yeah.
reason to.
So if they just do a mock-up and put dummy thermostats and dummy outlets and
Because I feel,
dummy lights, he doesn't need a permit to do that, right? Does it? So why would?
But if
we
we're
give
not
him
inspecting it,
for
you're
that
not gonna know if
purpose?
he altered anything to make a couple things work here and there. I mean, it's not gonna get inspected,
It wouldn't need to be.
but
'Cause
we
it's not
still wouldn't
connected.
know if he was altering anything to get behind the walls and, I mean, there's,
That's true, there is an honor system a little bit on this, I mean,
Yeah.
but the UCC spells out that if somebody violates something, their permit becomes void automatically. So if he says, oh, I'm only using 10 guys and they're all local guys and here's all their addresses, and then we show up on site and there's 30 guys
Yeah.
and we don't know any of them, well, then you voided your permit. I mean, that's a risk you're taking, by doing that kind of stuff, but it is a concern, it's definitely a concern.
I do agree with you, Sam, though, that they're not gonna demolish, they're probably not gonna demolish it. I mean, they're not gonna rip down a fully remodeled apartment, and model rooms are models to sell to people. That's probably what they're doing, renting or selling them, say, hey, it's a model.
Yep, they'll keep it till the end.
Yep,
Because it's
and then
what
they'll
they
sell
sell, and then as soon as nobody's looking around, they're gonna go, I will rent this one out or we'll sell this one too.
Yeah.
That's what happens in every hotel I've seen. That's why the rooms always, we're getting inspected, the mock-up rooms, or even apartment buildings, same thing. And when you're repeating the same thing, cookie cutter over and over again, that's what happens, is they wanna save money wherever they can.
Yeah, so maybe it makes sense for us not to grant the one-time license for the model room. Let them figure out how to get their mock-up room built without it. And then that way it can't be inspected, they would have to either redo it or something. Once that was done, he wanted to make an application for a one-time license based on maybe some of the, either part of what he did on the mock-up room, or we would have more information at that point.
Yeah.
But I don't think we have to grant one for the model room. And then it's certainly more clear as to what the scope of the rest of the project would be.
The only thing I would add to that is I would request where in the building is the model room located, what's the number, so that the inspectors can make sure
Yeah.
that room does get looked at the end.
100%, and before they drywall, just pop in for 2 minutes, make sure they didn't move any wires or whatever,
Yep.
just for future safety for people.
Well, it couldn't be inspected because they don't,
Right.
the guy working on it doesn't have a license. So you would have to go into that model room to inspect it.
Yes.
But they would need a
Because
permit.
we never granted anybody a license to complete electrical work.
has anybody heard anything from Hospitality Innovations for permitting on the entirety of the building?
I could ask the permit technician.
Because after reading the back page of this packet, it sounds like this company is almost in contract with the owner, whoever the new owner is, and that they reached out and they're bringing their team from Texas.
That's probably what's happening. A lot of these, what we would call high-rise buildings, I know they're not technically high-rise probably, but what we would call those tend to use their own people, because they go from town to town, particularly smaller towns like here, buy up property that a lot of people around here couldn't afford to do, and this is what they do, but they have their team guys that they like to bring with them. That's why this is even being questioned to the extent that it's being questioned to, because they don't want to get a different contractor. And that's my guess anyways.
So you don't give him the one time on this mock room, but then he is eligible to get the one time when the drawings are stamped and we have more information.
He can
going.
come-
So he can
He
apply
can
for it again.
Apply for
He
it.
can apply.
It's not that he's eligible, he can apply.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we provide an avenue for people to get a one-time license, so we have to look at that, but
And I don't think it's our job to figure out how they navigate it to get that.
they're not gonna like it. I'm sure they'd love to just do it one time, but
Yeah, and I hate to say it, not hate to say it, but the reality is if they really need to do electrical work, they could hire a master electrician here. How big, it's not, it's a one apartment or whatever, it's not that big of a job.
exactly.
That was exactly why I said it out loud, because
Just hire a local guy,
For this
or a
mock
master
room.
electrician.
for this mock room, save your ACE for your
Yes.
one-time application.
'Cause you get a
for the
one-time on
$50
this
million
job,
job it's
right.
gonna be, right? That's when you save it for.
Yeah.
So hire a master in this instance, and then when it goes out to bid, then use it.
Or like, I mean, like your insurance proved that it's very possible to build up mock rooms off-site. They did it, you know, for building their different projects, and it's, I mean, all they could do is find an empty warehouse or room or something and
Yeah.
construct it there, and then you
They
can
built
have
it
at it.
off-site.
Yeah,
And they build modular homes.
yep,
Like-
yeah.
It sounds like to me that we want to deny this at this time. Is that right? Mr. Armstrong?
I would make that motion that we deny this.
Second.
Okay, there's a second. Motion made and seconded. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Any questions on the motion? Being that there's none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes. That application is denied. Okay, we have to go back to Gannon University. So,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I want to just go back to that and just say that we denied him, but is he able to reapply then? For
Yeah,
it?
that
I think
door's
so.
always open.
Absolutely.
I just want to make sure that that's on the record, that it's in the
I'm
correspondence.
almost thinking he's
that-
better off not getting the license now, and so if he does get the job, he can apply for the one time.
But
He's
that's-
kind of, like you said,
It's
he's,
not our job to tell him how to do what he needs
well,
to do.
I mean, that's our recommendation.
I just want to say
That's
that
it.
Let
we're
him
not
navigate
denying
the
him.
Yeah, it's not that he'll never get a
Completely.
license for this
Yeah,
job.
it was just,
For what was
Yes.
submitted, that's what I'm denying.
Yes.
correct.
right, it was
Thank you.
denied for what was submitted at this time,
Okay.
so, to be clear. Okay, back to this letter from Gannon University. They want this individual to be granted a license, assuming as an apprentice license, is that right?
Correct.
My problem with this is it doesn't really square with the UCC, because you're supposed to be employed by a master electrician. I mean, obviously, there's a difference between a maintenance electrician and a commercial industrial inside wiring. So, I don't think it squares with the UCC. You have to be directly employed by a master electrician. That's how I got my master plumber's license. I was directly employed by a master plumber. At one time, it was Rick's dad. But
Yeah. It was.
But I think that's the idea behind it, is that you're working under the direct tutelage of somebody who's in the know on that specific trade.
yes,
And I don't see that happening here.
no,
They would have to almost embed the master electrician in Gannon for steady employment for 5 years.
Either that or else have him subcontracted, have them subcontract, and then have that kid go to work for them,
Right.
but employed at
Well, it's
Gannon.
a 9-year process, 4 years.
Well, that's what
for
they said.
apprenticeship.
That's what it says here. Gannon will enter into a contractual service agreement with Lathrop.
Okay, but like,
But that
how
person
often
would
does he
have
go
to be
there?
on site
Once a week?
every day.
But that's
He would have
between
to-
Gannon and Lathrop, that's,
in other words,
He's
Lathrop,
working for me, but
Right.
working, you're the master carrier, but he's working for me.
but literally Lathrop would have to have a journeyman electrician working there every single day, right, Sam?
They would have
Is
to-
that gonna happen? No.
They would have to be embedded.
They'll need a master there.
A master electrician's gonna be there every single
To
day.
get his hours, so it has to be a master.
Well, what I'm saying is if he was registered under Lathrop Electric as an apprentice, apprentices can't work by themselves. So a journeyman at level from Lathrop would have to be there every day supervising this apprentice.
That wouldn't count because he wouldn't be, he has to be under direct supervision of a master.
And he's not even working for them.
Correct.
He's not on the
Right.
payroll?
No. No, Annie.
Yeah, I see that as not.
I mean, when we ask for people's work history, we're asking that they have to be
They're
on the
under a
payroll
master.
of a
Yeah.
master.
100%.
That
So-
literally could, anybody can go work for anybody and just say, he's under my supervision.
Yeah.
Like it's,
I mean, this would be no different than one contractor using another contractor's
license.
license, and that's what we're been against since the beginning, so it's pretty
Well,
cut and dry.
and that's the difference between this situation and Erie Insurance. Erie Insurance has a master electrician who directly supervises that fellow who registered as an apprentice. In this situation, that's not the case.
They're clearly saying they do not have.
I'm sorry?
Gannon is clearly saying they do not have.
Yes, correct.
I think Gannon needs to hire one, and just like your insurance, it's same, pretty simple.
Well, I don't know how long you want to carry on about this, but my attitude is, and I'll make this a motion, that we deny this based on the fact that the individual's not working under the direct guidance of a master license carrier.
I'll second that.
There's a motion made and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Any questions on the motion? Any questions on the motion? Being that there's none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion moves. I believe that is it this month for the Trades Licensing Board. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, October 1st at 1 p.m. So if there's no objections, I'll take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Dietrich,
Second?
seconded by, who is that? Mr. Collins?
Yes, sir.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We'll see you in October.